Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So tonight's gonna be like a more relaxed video. So lately, as you all know, with the whole, or may have known or noticed, I guess you could say, with the whole pandemic going on, like there's just been so much confrontation, not only like in the world, just how like people are very anxious, we're all worried and we're kind of like on our toes. We don't know when we're gonna get our next paycheck. We don't know when we're gonna go to work, if we could pay our rent, just all of that. So it makes like a lot of strain, period. And then that kind of like trickles down into like your relationships, and really the one that I want to talk about is in your marriage. So I've been married for 8 years, together 10, and we've been together since I was 16, and I'm 26 now. And I don't know, I think that gives me a little bit of advantage. Not saying I'm better than anyone else by any means, no matter how long you've been married. All of our journeys are different. But in saying that, I have gained little insights and perspectives of what works and what doesn't work in a marriage. And I just wanted to share with you guys some tips to maybe help you, not only during this time of being like quarantined together with your spouse, but hopefully just like lifelong tips that would help you in your marriage furthermore. So basically, to like jump right in, and this took a lot of, like I said, like trial and error, being married so young. I wouldn't really suggest it, just because we're like babies and still trying to like figure out ourselves when we got married. And it was amazing. We shared a lot of cool stuff, but it was also very hard because it's almost like you're raising each other. And really, before you get in a marriage, you should like know yourself, experience things, just to really have like a stable ground of like who you are as an individual, and then to know what you can bring into a marriage, positive notes, to really build like something solid with your spouse. I will admit I didn't really have a lot of good like healthy habits before getting into my relationship. Even before I was married, I used relationships just to really like cope and help me feel like not alone, and just like attention, I guess. I mean, I did like my husband and whatnot, and we got along, but I don't know, I don't think I always had like the best motives, just because I was so young. But enough of that banter. Really some tips that I've learned in real recent, guys, like real recent, I've been like really implementing these in my marriage, and they've helped a lot. So one of them is journaling. So you can just pick up a notebook, doesn't have to look fancy or anything. I think this was a couple dollars at Ross, and yeah, and this one's blank, but I could draw like pictures or whatever, being the artist that I am. But it's really helped me a lot because I'm a very like emotional person, guys, and whenever I have a problem, because we're talking about marriage, whenever I have a problem in my marriage and I have all this stuff going around in my head, and then when I go to confront my husband with this thing that is bothering me, whether it be like something somebody else did to me or like something he did to me and it just didn't settle well, whenever I get in communication with him, that time to be like, hey, this is what's bothering me, this is how it's making me feel. I'm very emotional, so I just kind of like give him the runaround and never really get to the point. And a lot of the times, I'm not ashamed to say it, I just end up crying because I'm just like frustrated and I already know going into it I probably am not going to get my point across as clearly as I would like. So what I've been doing lately is writing it down and then going over it, and like it helps you too, because like seeing something written down, you're like, oh, you know, like confirming like this is really what's wrong with me. And a lot of the times like I'll just write whatever I'm feeling, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense, and that would just be like, okay, you just need to calm down, you need to watch a movie, you need to go for a walk, you know, there's just so much stuff going on. But I have been noticing that writing it down helps me. If I write it down, whatever's bothering me about what he did to me or what I said or blah, 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 and I hand it to him and be like, this is how I feel. I can't change it. My emotions don't affect what I wrote down. And he can read it for what it is that I am trying to say. And it gets the point across rather than just like being a blubbering mess, if that makes sense. So yeah, that tip really helps me. And talking to my husband, he really seems to like that I do that, because now it's just like at the end of it he knows how I feel, and then we can talk about it. We can come back maybe tomorrow or the next day and just be like, okay, you said this is how you feel and this is how it made me feel, and then you come to a certain ground of understanding. And one thing that I've learned, communication is key in a marriage, because if you guys are on the same page, things will work out a lot smoothly. And that just goes with like any relationship, whether it be your kids, your friends, or anything like that. But journaling really, really helps in a marriage. And then, so I'd say we had been married about 5 or 6 years. My sister-in-law, my husband's sister, and she gave me probably like a really good, huge tip. And I don't always do this, and I know that I should use this tool a lot more, but usually I just do it on my own. But to really narrow down certain subjects and keys to pinpoint, there's this book, and it's by Stormy, I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's Omartian, and it's called The Power of a Praying Wife. And guys, this has really like given me like a game changer. And they also came out with The Power of a Praying Mom, so I like this. And like I said, it really just helps me like narrow down and pinpoint certain things that you can pray about for your husband. I'll go over the topics really quick. So the contents are, you can pray for his wife, his work, his finances, his sexuality, his affection, his temptations, his mind, his fears, his purpose, his choices, his health, his protection, his fatherhood, his relationships. And really what I've learned just from praying for my husband, really like the main point in a marriage is you want to, you love that person enough, you know, to marry them for one and want to be around them for the rest of forever. So obviously you care about them, and what better way to show that you care for somebody is to pray for them. You know, go to the one who can intervene in ways that you can't, because we do have like a really big advantage over many people being their wives, and we can do that by praying. Go to the one who loves him more than you love him. So I found just like praying, it gives me a sense of peace that even though your husband may face challenges, you can always go back and like pray for those and know that you like did your part, if that makes sense. Another thing that I've been learning, guys, is really just like remembering that, and this is really hard sometimes, I know, because like your spouse will just say something that will just either trigger you from like your past people treating you wrongly, or just, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like they know the right words to just like hit your core and just like completely make you crumble. But in those moments, you have to choose to love them and remember that the battle is not between flesh and flesh. And that's a scripture, and I'll like put it right here. But the battle isn't between you guys. There's a different battle going on the outside of that. And if you guys will remember that, it will take away a lot of tension and be like, wait a minute, hold on, this is getting really like heavy and feisty and just a lot of friction. And me and my husband have done that many times. Like, hold up, I know you didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that. And I guess that's another thing, just like, if you know you said something wrong, apologize. You know, like, we're all people here, so like communicating. And yeah, just remembering that it's not a fight between you and your husband. You guys join together to make something beautiful. So yeah, I really hope those like tips that I've been learning really help somebody out there. I know during this time it's been really challenging for me, and it's just things that I've learned from spending time with Christ over the years, and being married for so many years. These are just some practical tips that I've learned, and I've seen them actually help. So yeah, I hope they help you guys. Leave a comment down below if you do these tips, or if you have any other tips that I could add into what I'm doing. Like I've said before, I'm not a perfect Christian, I'm not a perfect wife, not a perfect person, but I just really pray that this is like a comfortable place that we can all grow and just, yeah, just be comfortable with and just learn together. But yeah, thanks for watching my video, guys, and I hope to see you next time. Bye! I also wanted to jump in here and say, nowadays it's, when you're married, I guess like social media and the world really says, you know, like, if your marriage isn't working, then you should just walk away, you know, count your losses, you know, oh, maybe next time it will be better, yada, 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 the list goes on. But I urge you guys, I've learned a lot just being married in the short time that I have, and I've seen the fruit that comes out of not giving up on someone, and loving them how Christ loves all of us. And it's something that I never would have thought that I would experience. Would I thought that I would be married for this long, looking back before I got married? I don't know. I don't even know if I like ever thought of myself getting married and settling down and having kids. I never really thought about it. But what I've learned from loving somebody, you know, the agape love, the unconditionally, no matter what, within like healthy bounds, that's very important to remember if you're in like a sketchy situation. You know, you want to make sure that you're safe. But in saying that, just loving somebody no matter what, there's so much fulfillment. It's a different type of love that the world shows us. You know, the world shows us like, oh, you mess up one time and like you're banished from, you know, like the world, like you're no longer like a person. But you know, God says we all make mistakes. All sins are the same, and he loves us all the same no matter what, you know, like grace over everything. And he teaches us to love him and to love our neighbors as well. And that goes to show in your marriage too. And I just urge you to maybe use some of these tips, and before you give up on your marriage, just to pray first, and to journal, and to try to communicate and try to work it out, and just see where that gets you. Don't listen to what all of your friends say, you know, don't listen to what social media says or the rest of the world. You know, do what you think is right, but also try this. Try this first before you give up. And yeah, that's the last thing I'm going to say, but I think you will either gain a lot of insight or realize that after doing these things that it completely changed the dynamics of how your marriage is. And I think that you'll like it. When you put Christ at the center of it, everything else kind of falls into place. It's weird like that, but that's what I've learned. All right, bye.